All right, so what's your number 3, Sarah?
For number 3, I put A Quiet Place.
Ooh.
Yeah, the John Krasinski, uh, where aliens attack the Earth, and if you make a sound, they can find you. And I absolutely love this movie. It makes me cry every time. I don't want to spoil it in case people haven't seen it, but there's a scene where his kids are in danger, and he kind of makes like a heroic thing, and it's just every time it gets me. I'm like, oh. But yeah, again, stupid COVID has prevented us from seeing the sequel. um, but yeah, it's really even though it has like the sci-fi action elements about it, it's really about like a family and that kind of dynamic in a family, and the love that people have for each other, and how they can work together and be inventive and survive under really tough situations.
I haven't seen it. I can't, but like I saw the trailer for 2. I'm like, I should probably see 1 now because I can't do horror movies. But I kind
It's
of
not really. I mean, it's called a horror movie, but it's not like the slasher horror movie. It's. I mean, it's. I would actually put it more of a sci-fi movie than really like. I mean, there's tension and the characters are under threat, but it's not like there's. It's not like Halloween where there's like a psycho killer stabbing people.
that's what I can't deal with, the tension. I'm like, oh my god, I'm too tense right now. Don't stop it. I need some release. Psycho, I'm like, okay, I can look away my eyes. Or supernatural stuff. I can't do with the supernatural movies.
Yeah.
Again, raised Catholic, so no.
Yeah, it's all aliens and
aliens are real, Sarah. What are we talking about? Haven't I shown you about the time I saw a UFO?
No,
we'll talk about that later.
I don't really believe. Okay.
I want to believe.
The truth is out there.
Yes. I don't know if I don't have it decided yet. That might say it. All right, so your number. Anything you want to talk about, CJ, before we move on about A Quiet Place?
Well, I haven't seen A Quiet Place, but Sarah was using all my trigger words there with the family, so maybe I'll check that out pretty soon.
Yeah, it's really good.
I have to watch it now because it's coming. There's a sequel, and everyone saw it but us, I guess. All right, you're number 2, CJ.
My number 2 is, I guess I'll go with, you mentioned it a little bit, Looper. I liked Looper, kind of. Like, it was like a cool movie. Like, I'm notorious for, like, I always hate time travel if it's in something that, like, doesn't normally have time travel. But, like, if it's a time travel movie, I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, I think is an interesting take on, like, the whole, like, time travel-y thing. You know what I mean? Like, you got, you know what I mean? I think it's an interesting take, you know what I mean? Like, they don't explain time travel or why people have it in the future, you know what I mean? That was always one thing, like, I was thinking, how did they have
they
this?
never
like,
explained it.
Like, but, like, anyways, whatever, you know, that, like, some gang has it and he's using, you know, he's, like, crossing people off the lifts in the, whatever, you know, if you've seen Looper, you know the rules. Eventually, you got to kind of cut your own loop, so that you're not, like, kind of creating time paradoxes or whatever. But you get a lot of money, and you get to kind of live how you want to live or whatever for a good time. And I think the prosthetics to make him look like Bruce Willis were really good. You know what I mean? Like, thought it was a cool story. And there's this shot in this movie that I really love, and I always think about it, where the mother of the little boy who's, like, you know, who's got that crazy psychic power, that they're kind of trying to keep under wraps or whatever, but, like, she's, like, chilling outside on her porch, like, kind of in the middle of nowhere, and, like, she's fake, like, packing a cigarette, and she, like, takes one out and lights it, and
I remember that shot now.
the way she does that, like, I always thought that was so cool, you know what I mean? Because it's like she really, like, it's like she can't smoke, but, like, she, like, just really, you could tell she imagined it. She knows what that feels like, and she went there in her mind for that split second, like, to having that scene.
Like, she needed that fix, even if it was fictional. Like, that was in the
movie.
Yeah,
like, I always really loved
that is a cool moment. Like, that's the one thing Rian Johnson does. I think he does really good character moments. And I, in hindsight, do appreciate his Star Wars movie. Alrighty. That's your anything, Sarah, you want to add about Looper?
I mean, I like Looper. I'll watch anything with Bruce Willis in it. Um, it I think I probably have the same issue with time travel that CJ does. Is like I hate when they use it to solve a problem, like as a vehicle in a movie. But if the movie is about time travel, I'm definitely more okay with it. But yeah, I mean, it was a really good movie.
I after I saw Cop Out, after I heard what happened in Cop Out, I can't watch any Bruce Willis movie without being like, oh, you're a dick. Pre this era. But that's just me. All right, so my number. So anything before we move on? No. Okay. My number 2 is from James Mangold, who also did Logan and the Wolverine, and it's called Ford v Ferrari. And I have no idea why this movie much as I do, but it's Matt Damon, it's Christian Bale, and they're building this. The story is about these guys who want to go up against Ferrari to build this car, build the first American car to beat this. Because they're at Le Mans, this famous racing race, repetitive, um, and it's just about how pretty much Christian Bale's character always gets in his way.
Your guy Miles is impressive.
Oh, you following Miles?
Oh, yes.
Well, he was a USAC road racing champion '61. He won the Pikes Peak Hill Climb. He was SCCA C-Class champion 3 years in a row in this piece of shit MG he built himself.
We heard he's difficult.
What, Ken? No, Ken's a puppy dog.
Nothing in there about my trunk and your lovely little portmanteau.
You're holding the 62 edition of the SCCA.
Happy Bill?
Like he knows his stuff. He knows what he has to do. But he gets in the way his ego. He gets the way. But Matt Damon's character said, like, no, dude, calm down. Like, I got you. Like we could have won if you were there, but you get in your own way. And it's a really good character because I loved it a lot. I'm like, I've watched that movie 4 times since I bought it because I really enjoyed that movie. And I'm not a racing guy. I'm not the biggest car guy. I'm like, all right, it's got oil, it's got gas, we're good to go. I don't need to know like about RPMs or how many cylinders. Like, does it run? Okay, good. And that's what I am. But it's a really good movie. And Christian Bale, there's a fight scene between Christian Bale and Matt Damon where I'm like, all right, you got Batman and you got Bourne, and they're pretty much just bitch slapping each other, kind of like.
Come here. Bloody car sales bullshit. Come on, now you're gonna get it. Whoa. Get off me. Stop it, son of a bitch.
And it's really amazing. It's a really funny scene. It's a really good character. I have yet to see a movie of James Mangold that I don't like. I'll leave it at that. That's my number 2. Right.
I haven't seen it, but like I've told you in conversations, like I bought that movie like months ago, like and like I keep wanting to watch it. But never getting the chance. I might watch it tonight, to be
I hope
honest.
you watch it tonight. If you do, call me immediately to talk. Because I can't sleep right now. I'm having trouble sleeping. Sarah knows why. Yeah. So that's my number 2. So CJ, what is your number 1?
Wait, we have to do my number 2.
Oh, your number 2. No, wait, did we not do your number 2?
No.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. What is wrong with me? I thought you were sorry. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Rogue One from Star Wars. I had to put a Star Wars movie in the top 5, and Rogue One is my favorite of the new ones.
I don't know if this counts because Star Wars just has comic books.
Comic books are secondary to the movies.
What came out first? They released the comic books first before the movie, or Marvel did.
But they were written for the movie. It wasn't like superhero stuff where the comics were already existing and then they made movies on them.
Your logic is very suspicious, Sarah. I'll leave it at that. But okay.
It's from a franchise that started as a movie.
It's very suspicious. Carry on, Sarah. I'll let you go.
Anyway, Rogue One, Star Wars. They have to get the plans. We know the story. They had to get the plans so they could destroy the Death Star. And even though you know what's going to happen to all these poor people in the movie, I also find it very funny that it's a movie based off one throwaway line in like A New Hope.
What is that
But
line?
many people died to get these plans or something. I don't know. I'm probably quoting it wrong. But it's just it's a scrappy underdog story, you know, and I really like that movie. The I'm one with the force and the force is with me is just every time it gets me.
It is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. Out of all those Star Wars movies, that's my favorite one. I just like it is like amazing. I remember thinking, oh, this is such a diverse movie. What happened to the rest? Where did all the color people go? Were they all the ones in the Rogue One? Is that what happened?
They were the first to die, Renee.
Yeah, the colored people. I was saying they all died. Every colored person in Star Wars Galaxy was in that ship.
In that movie.
In that movie. Yeah.
This was that origin story.
Yeah.
I mean, as awful as that is, that to me is a positive thing almost, because it shows that the movies made in the 70s, like with the whole all-white cast, now that we're going back and making more, there at least is more diversity in the new movies.
I thought you were going to go the other way. I'm like, whoa, what? Eugenics.
No, I love Rogue One. I thought it was an awesome movie. And to me, I actually didn't going into the Rogue One. I didn't know they were all gonna die.
I didn't either.
I'm like, man, this would be cool. Like, this might be a franchise. I remember like thinking, this might be a franchise. They can make like 2 or 3 of these. Nah, like they're all dead.
They're all dead.
But I think it's a cool thing.
And it has one of my favorite moments too, is with Darth Vader just like going through the corridor with a lightsaber, just slashing mofos like butter, like they're hot butter. It was like, wow, yeah.
I like the robot sidekick. I think he's my favorite character in the movie.
What's his name? Alan.
Play Alan Tudyk.
He bugged me a little bit. I'm like, oh, dude, you're so comebacky. Like, you're so sarcastic.
Mm-hmm.
But no, my favorite thing was the main character, Felicity Jones. Is that her name? No one knows if we all entertainment.
We just failed.
All right, that's your number 2.
That's my number 2.
Okay, CJ, what's your number 1?
All right, number 1. I will give an honorable mention. Something that was almost on this list. Another gutter trash movie called Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Which I freaking love to death. That movie is trash, but I freaking love that movie so much.
So CJ, I went to that panel at WonderCon and they gave us posters that do like the holographic thing. So like if you look at it one way, he's like weird and creepy, and then you go back and it's like Abraham Lincoln. It's just really, it's like a historical item, because that movie I don't think it did very well.
It's not a bad movie too. I saw the movie in theater. I'm like, this isn't bad. I started to do that theater, but I'm like, this isn't bad. This is fun.
Right, like I had a lot of fun with that movie. I don't own it, but I might change that.
I mean, I don't think it's worth owning, but it's fun. I'm like, oh, sorry, I need to see it again. For me.
I know. It's like, see, that's the thing, is like, it's just the type of action movie that I like to watch. You know what I mean? Like, just whatever. It's like the story doesn't even matter. It's like, but have one though, you know. But freaking okay. So my number 1 is Snowpiercer. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that movie.
I started watching it when I was with you somewhere, and I never finished it. But there's a TV show based on it, right?
What'd you say?
The TV show named after it.
They I think, I don't know if it came out yet, but it is based on the same book. I think it's a book.
I think it did come out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but yeah, it is. Yeah, there is a TV show that came out. But yeah, Snowpiercer is starring Chris Evans.
Tilda Swinton.
The chick Tilda Swinton. Yep. Yeah, and her. And it's a very interesting. Well, I'll put it like this: it's nothing new, right? It's nothing that you haven't seen before, but it's one of the more interesting takes on this type of story. And the type of story that is really just like it's a post-apocalyptic world, and it's like a class war kind of a story, right? It's nothing that you haven't seen before, but basically in this story, some kind of bomb or something, some kind of machine went off, and it's caused a second ice age. So everything in the world is kind of frozen over. Nothing is like kind of living, and it must have kind of been like a flash freeze. But they just completed like construction on this indestructible train, right? That goes across the entire world. Like it goes across the ocean, it goes across the entire earth, and it can just kind of go indefinitely, right? And the maiden voyage, that whatever happened to end the world happened as this train kicks off on its maiden voyage. So basically, everybody left on this train is everybody left on the planet alive. And what happens is that there's like this whole sort of class war where with the people who were in like the first class, people who paid for their tickets basically, and the people who like were kind of just let on the train, you know what I mean, slash workers and what have you, who didn't have tickets. And there's like it's been really rough for the people who didn't have tickets, who have to stay in the back of the train, but the people who bought tickets, you know what I mean, they've been kind of living like this privileged life. And like when we come into the story, like it's, you know, these are like the people's descendants, you know what I mean, like they've been living on this train for probably like decades, you know. And like just it's a very dark story, and it's like you have to kind of like you have to kind of like suspend your disbelief a little bit, because it is kind of like with any of these kind of high sci-fi concept movies, it's kind of like it's like, okay, like there's a little BS there that you kind of have to swallow a little bit, you know what I mean, like a train that works like this, or like you kind of, but it's darker than you might think, and it's got some surprises in it, but it's definitely one of the more creative movies I've seen in the past 10 years. And it's a pretty good movie too, I'd say, with some really good performances.
Like I see it coming and going on Netflix and Amazon Prime. It's, I definitely want to watch it because I remember I started watching it and I just never finished it. But and the show is already with Jennifer Connelly. I know Jennifer Connelly is on the show.
Yeah, I saw it too, though. I think I had trouble suspending my disbelief. As CJ said, there's a few logic jumps you have to make and just accept to, I think, really enjoy the base story. And I had a lot of trouble just being like, I was like, this isn't real. Like, and so I had trouble liking it as much as you did. But it is a fun movie.
Sarah, what's your number one?
My number one is Mad Max Fury Road. It's like probably one of my favorite movies of all time. It takes the Mad Max franchise and really, I think, updates it and makes it more like in the originals. They're all fighting over gas, and in this one they're fighting over water, which I think is kind of more topical now with global warming and climate change and everything else that's going on. And I think it might be Charlize Theron's best acting I've ever seen. And I keep falling for these beautiful movies. The cinematography on it is just incredible. Like, and it's just so pretty. There's a scene where they drive into a storm, and there's all these people like on their war machines, and just it's just so beautiful, like how it's shot. And it's really Charlize Theron's story, even though Mad Max is the title character, but he's just kind of like becomes a sidekick to her journey. And I really like how they swapped up this iconic series and kind of refreshed it and just really made it an incredible movie.
I've never seen that movie. I think I've only seen one of the Mad Max movies.
Yeah, I went back and watched the old ones. I mean, I had seen them like a long time ago. I mean, there's Thunderdome, which of course is
that's the one,
classic.
Yeah, the Tina Turner. Sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, they're dated now. It's especially the original one. I watch it, I'm like, this is kind of weird now. Like it's kind of it doesn't have the same punch I think it did when it came out, and this one Fury Road just really I think brings it to a next level.
I should watch it. I've heard nothing but great things. I've heard that movie that year that came out. Like every director's like, that's my favorite movie of this year. So I should probably watch that movie. Have you watched it, TJ?
I have seen Mad Max Fury Road. My feelings about it are different. I won't spend time. I'll spend a lot of time hating on it, but it didn't gel with me, I guess, like that much. And it was I don't know, like there was still like it is a very beautiful movie, right? Like it's a very beautiful movie, but like I don't know, like I couldn't really get with it, but like there are cool things that I did like about it. There are things that I liked about it. Like there are things that movie is all like it's nuts too, and I like it's nuts and it's got a lot of crazy action in it too. Like, but it's like I don't know, like I feel like the whole time I was just kind of like, dude, what is even right now? Like, what is happening here? But like, whatever. It's a cool. It's certainly a very beautiful movie. Like Sarah said, it's certainly a very beautiful movie. I'd say it's at least worth a watch to form your own opinion on it. Certainly.
We'll see. I should watch it. I'm going to watch it eventually. All right. So my number one is an Irish movie. I saw it 2016, 2015. It's called Sing Street, and it takes place in the 80s in Ireland. Have any of you heard of it or seen it? So it's the guy who did Once, and he did the other movie with Mark Ruffalo and the chick's name from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley, yes, she's in it too. And it's about music. But this one, it takes place in the 80s in Ireland. And it's about this kid who starts a band to impress this girl who's a model, and he wants to make a band so that he can music, so that he can use her in his music videos, so she could be in it. It's really charming. It's like the chick from Bohemian Rhapsody is the chick Freddie Mercury marries is one of the main actresses, is the main actress, and it's very musical. I really recommend people watch it. It's really fun, really good. It's when they're recruiting a band member, they're like, well, we need a black guy, and he goes, well, he's the only black guy in this town or whatever. I'm like, whatever. It's like, well, we be rocking. We need a black guy, and it's really funny. I recommend you guys watch it. It's fun. It's Sing Street. I'll insert my favorite song in there. You gotta grab the wheel and own it. Drive it like you stole it. Roll it, this is your life. You can be anything. You gotta learn to rock and roll it. That's it. Yeah, that's all I got. Any questions? Anyone want to move on? Anything? You want to say goodbye to? Anything? Any final thoughts? Well, thank you guys for watching us. Thank you for sticking around. Hopefully you had fun. Hopefully, if you have any went for us, let us know. Like and subscribe. Frack off.